Is this the first time you dated a married man?
Oh my God, we're in love.
You're married to him.
I'm at a point in my life where I need full, true safety.
Why did you end it?
How do I provide support to my husband who's going through a heartbreak with another woman?
Hey everyone, welcome back to this episode of the Mass Swingers. Layla, hey.
Hi, hello, how are you?
I'm excited for this episode.
I'm so excited. And I'm also, I'm nervous.
I would be too if I was in your seat.
I'm a little nervous. Well, I want to do honor to it. You know, like I want it to be tasteful. I want to make sure that like, I don't ask anything inappropriate. Like this is one of my favorite people in the entire world.
Okay.
Right. So like, I want to do it justice.
Let me explain to the audience what's going on
Please.
here. Okay. So Layla's married, phenomenal husband, and polyamorous. Mm-hmm. And Layla and her husband dated a couple for a while. Well, they weren't a couple. They were twins. Mm-hmm. You dated one. He dated the other. Not at the same time. Not like twins, Basil. Like,
right,
like just
right. You tell anybody that we dated identical twins and they're like, oh, that's so hot. And I'm like, sure, but it wasn't on purpose.
But she dated your husband, and it turned into more than what we thought would be. And they were in like a relationship for 6 months. Mm-hmm. Right. And it was totally consensual the whole time. Yeah. But they were in love with each other also. And so they haven't talked publicly about this at all. It's been on. She's also one of the hosts of the Double Team podcast, which is a phenomenal podcast. If you haven't given it a listen, they've talked about him to some extent, maybe not by name.
No, they have. They used Cody's name. And then they used L. So they used L for me and they used Cody's name.
Okay. So if you listen to the Double Team podcast and you've heard about L, Layla is L. And Cody is Cody. And so I'm happy to have you here and her here. So first, I acknowledge your courage in doing this. How are you feeling right now?
I'm a little anxious, but I'm excited too. But I am anxious.
Okay. All right. Hopefully we're going to get through.
Once we get it rolling, once we kind of get started and like it'll be fine. But again, I just want to honor it more than anything.
So I'll bring you on now. Hi, Cami.
Hi.
I'm so excited you're here, and I miss you so much. I love you.
So you are friends,
of course.
You dated the same man. I don't even know if that's the way to. You're married to him, but like, I'm gonna say you dated.
She shared him with me.
There we go.
I was very grateful.
We shared.
You shared in a polyamorous way. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big fan of yours also.
No, thank you.
I had a crush on you for a long time.
You did.
I did. My wife did not like you though, so you were a no-go for a while for us. Do you know where it started, by the way?
No, I don't. And this is what makes me nervous. I'm like, well, fuck, what was it?
Okay.
Because I adore your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So where it started was at EDC, not this past year, the year before. Mm. You and I had barely talked before then. Like, we didn't have a relationship. But for some reason, you saw me in the crowd and you ran over to me and you jumped on me. Do you remember this?
Were y'all like on the other side of a rail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you ran and you jumped over the rail and then you jumped into my arm. You like jumped in the air and I caught you. Mm-hmm. And from that moment, my wife was like, I don't like her.
Which is so strange because he fucks random women at parties, but a woman that he knows that like jumps into your arms, that's not okay. I've jumped into strangers' arms at EDC. You know what I mean? So
she was like, she's more into you than me. I don't like her. No, and this has been a thing in our relationships. It had nothing to do with you. It didn't. But so then because of that, I avoided you for like a year.
Okay.
Awkwardly. It was really awkward because I think she's gorgeous. But then we finally played.
Yeah.
We did.
Finally played.
How long ago?
It was like a month ago.
Yeah, it was.
Recent.
When was that? About a month ago.
Yeah, it was a month ago.
How was it?
It was something I would love, right? So I had just finished playing with someone else. You looked over and you were like, hey, Brian. You're like, tonight. Tonight's the night.
I was like, let's just do it.
Right.
Already. Like,
this is awkward. We obviously want to fuck each other. She looked at me. She was like, tonight. And I was like, right now. And she was like, all right. So then she just walked over. And I remember you walked over and I'm like kind of nervous. I'm like, I've been wanting to do this for a year. So I looked at you and I was like, hey, how do you want it? Do you want me to eat you out first? Do you want it more sensual? Whatever. Do you remember what your response was?
No.
You're like, I just want you to fuck me.
Okay. Oh my God.
You're like, just do the damn thing.
You did.
Just
You
put it in
remember
me.
this? So we started playing. Feel free to hop in whenever you want. So we started playing.
No, I can't wait. I want to hear from your perspective, and I'm going to tell you mine.
All right.
Because it's so chaotic.
We started playing, and like, I mean, you're hot. So like, especially with you're hotter with your clothes off. People, she's hotter with her clothes off. Trust me.
Thank you. I love that review because I work really hard to make this body look good.
God, your body's so hot, and I love Latino women. So I'm like, man, I'm into this. Is great, and you look so good, and like,
thank you.
You're making dick comments that I loved, and then at some point, I was just like, I wasn't having sex with Cami anymore. I was, and I started, and it was hot, and then eventually, it was like slowly becoming a different human. Not from like, I'm wild and I'm going to eat you up. But like, she was just losing. Like, it wasn't... what was happening, Cami? You explain what...
It was so bad. I don't even know where to start. Okay, so before... I'm not going to lie. So that night, I wasn't like too much in a playful mood, but I got invited to go and I really wanted to. And, Nikki and I don't go to... I mean, sometimes we go to parties separately, but most of the time it's been her going on her own. So I was like, okay, finally, like my chance to go on my own. So anyway, so I go and I'm like, okay, these are people that I know and love. I know that I'll have like a good experience, whether I'm feeling sexual or not. I took an edible.
Like THC?
Yeah.
Mush. Okay.
And so, but also, like, what was that? A few days, like maybe like 2 days prior, I had just come off, I think it was like ovulation. And I was like, and like sometimes when your cycle switches from like one phase to the next, it can throw off your pH.
Oh.
I was feeling super self-conscious about that. I was like, what if it's like not all okay? Like, what if it's not like sunshine and flowers down there, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so I go over to you and we start fucking. And then my edible kicks in. And
like hard.
And then, no, that's what it was. I had finished, I was in my luteal phase and I was just about to start my period. That's what it was. And I was afraid that I was going to start my period because you and I were going at it. And I started getting like cramps in my lower abdomen. And I was like, fuck, I'm about to start bleeding. So I was like slowly like mentally deteriorating because I was just like, I had way too many thoughts in my brain. And I was like cramping. So I was like, okay, I'm about to start my period, whatever. And then I go into the bathroom and I'm like fully waiting for me to like start bleeding. No, I had to poop. Yeah.
That was happening too?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
My edible hit. I was like turning into, a new person. I was worried about this. I was worried that I was about to start my period. I was already feeling a little self-conscious and then I had to poop. And then I was like, I was just in that bathroom for like 10 minutes, giving myself a pep talk because I was like, literally, yeah, I go into the bathroom and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like trying to get through like the high of the edible and like no one's around me. And I'm just like, you know what? No, I can take care of myself. It's just, I've done party favors before. I do them all the time. I know how to talk myself out of a little peak. So that's what happened.
Damn. And it was awkward. It was like, cause you kept saying, you're like, oh my God, your dick, you're going to start my period. You're going to start my period. And I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. That was like kind of a turn on. I was like, yeah, bring it. Cause
no, that's the thing is
but
like,
is that why you didn't want me to eat you out?
Yes.
I just thought you weren't into it.
No, it's just because like I was, that's what it was. I wasn't in my like ovulation to luteal. I was in like luteal to about to start my period because my little app was like, oh, you may start today. So I was like, I do not want that to happen because the last thing I want to happen at a play party is just for me to bleed everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was having a little mini B.
Did you stop the sex? Were you like, we're done here?
We did.
Yeah.
We stopped because we realized something was off. She was like,
okay.
I think I just need a minute.
Yeah.
Well, good for you for like saying that though, because I think a lot of women would be like, just kind of suffer in silence. But you were able to listen to yourself.
Well, that's the thing. Like, especially at parties, and these are like my friends, right? I know how to speak up for myself, and it's, and he was already picking up on it too, which was great.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, you're someone that I feel comfortable around. So, like, I didn't mind, communicating like, oh, hey, I need to stop. I just need a minute.
Right.
Just, I wasn't going to tell you like the full reason why.
Which I get, because we're in a room with a bunch of other people. My wife's getting railed like 2 feet away, by the way.
No,
so
exactly.
There's a lot going on.
No, there was.
But then I was like, what do you need? I mean, do you need me to like stay with you? Do you want me to
you,
hold
like,
you or
hugged
something?
me.
Like, what do you need?
You held me for like a minute,
Yeah.
which was what I
Good.
needed. And
That's
that was
really
really
cute.
nice. Yeah, it was.
You're so sweet. You're so nice.
No, thank you. No,
Thank
you were
you.
great. And then afterwards I felt bad because I was like, well, I wish we could have kept going, but I was...
You'll have more
So
opportunities.
do
I'm
over.
sure.
Yeah. We said, all right,
We'll
we
do a
owe each
do-over.
other a do over.
Yeah, next time I need to like not be about to start my period. The cramps were actually really bad. Like, that's why I was like, oh, fuck, I'm starting my period. And just...
That's the worst. That's the worst.
When
I
your
hate
period
that.
starts at a party?
Yeah.
Has that happened to you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That has
because
happened to me, yeah.
sometimes if you're like teetering about to start your period and you have sex, it can just
It literally
kickstart
is
it.
like a plunger.
Yeah.
Got it. So is like, I don't know, is there something, I've heard this before. Is there something just like pop? It's just like it once you,
I think it's the suction. I think it's like literally like,
I was like pulling it out.
yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it feels anyway. Yeah.
So
But
I'm encouraged for both of you to go to parties like that. So you're going in with that state and you're like, check. So then you tell the person that this is you. It sounds like you will let them know, hey, this is a possibility.
yeah.
You do the same thing?
I usually, if I'm like going to start that day, like I'll usually put a tampon in and just be like, I'm just not going to have sex and I'll do other things.
See, I mean, like for example, there was one party where V and her friend were about to peg me, or I mean, like fuck me with dildos. And I told them both. I was like, I may start my period, but just letting you know, I do. But if it's like the day, like a day or two before, usually I can skirt by because it's not like it's like a lot of blood.
Right.
the-
It's
yeah,
not the
the first day.
heaviest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it might just
It's not day 2 period.
But see, you're both such great communicators. I'm going to use that as a segue into where we're going, because today's episode is really about communicating and us opening up about this polyamorous relationship that you were both in.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. We prepped some questions for this. I actually wanted to give the first few questions to Layla
Okay.
because I think that she has stuff that she's deeply curious about
Sure.
from you.
So one of the first questions, I would like to know what attracted you to my husband and what because you reached out to him on socials, right?
No,
Or y'all kind of talked on and off on socials a little bit, but
we were texting for a little while after we met originally at a party in October the year prior.
that's right. That's right. And then, so what made y'all kind of rekindle and like be like, let's try something? Like what?
Well, I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, so I had been in a very tumultuous, like on and off situationship for about 2 years, which ended like January, February, right before I started seeing Cody like seriously. And I remember in October, this was a time when other guy and I had been on and off. I went to a play party. I hooked up with Cody. We exchanged phone numbers and we were, texting, and there was always the like, he would reach out like, hey, do you want to make plans? And I would, then at that point, like November, I was back on. So then I was like, kind of blowing him off a little bit. And then what was it?
I think it was after the Halloween party, or it was after?
There was,
Was it Berghain?
no, it was after that. There was another event
Okay.
where we like reconnected briefly. And then you and Nikki we went to Melrose Place, or y'all did, and I joined. And then we went to the spa with Cody, remember?
Yes.
Yeah. And he and I were just like chatting up the whole time at the spa. I mean, it was like what, midnight? Shout out to We Spa, super fun.
Love that. Yeah, Nicole and I were having sex in the bathroom when you guys were like,
What the fuck?
chilling.
I did not know that.
oh, did you not know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. No, we found a bathroom stall and we just went to town on each other.
Oh my God,
And then
I
we
love
went
that.
back and we were like, hee hee hee. And you guys were just like talking.
Yeah, Cody and I were just like, talking the whole time. He looked so good too. He was wearing that peacoat, I remember. But yeah, and I think at that point, and I had been like, what was that? That was like around March. At this point, it had been like about a month since I had fully broken it off with the situationship. And I feel like I was kind of like starved for a good guy, like a good guy that would take care of me and like actually make me happy. Because the situationship that I was in was very difficult, and it definitely like brought me down a bunch. And I know like there were a lot of things that I did in that situationship that definitely didn't, that I take accountability for, that made things worse. But he and I just weren't compatible, and I'm glad that he and I ended it. And then yeah, with Cody, like from the very beginning, you know, it just kind of felt so easy. And I loved that about him. And he was so kind. I mean, he's really such a great human being. And so, yeah, I would say that was the initial thing.
No, I can relate to that. I mean, he's amazing. He's a great guy, you know, and he's nice and he's sweet and he's sexy. And like, I completely understand
Great
why.
dick.
Great dick.
Great dick. Like,
Great in bed.
10 out of 10.
So good. So good in bed. Dating a married man. Is this the first time you dated a married man?
Yeah. That was like the first E&M type of relationship I had, which this is where I'll take some accountability too. I was fresh out of a situationship. I really, you know, I jumped into this. And while it was good, I feel like had I actually done more healing and kind of like maybe spent a little bit more time with myself, I feel like I would have hurt Cody less in the end when we ended things, you know? I feel like I would have came from a much better place. And because first time dating a married man, it was a whole new different type of anxiety in a different way, in a way, because like and that's the thing is I remember I never felt any jealousy towards you, but the possibility, because y'all were poly and open, and you know, just because he and I were dating doesn't mean he wasn't allowed to date other women. And I got like super anxious about him being with other people. And then like I would get the scarcity mindset of, oh, I can easily be replaced. So there was that aspect of it where it was like, it was my first time and I was just trying to figure out, you know, how everything went. But then at the same time, like it was also just so beautiful. Like I got to know your family. I got to know you more, which you're a fantastic human being. And the light in any room, like hands down, anyone who is in the same room as you can just see you radiate so much happiness.
Thank you.
And I love your confidence. I mean, the way that you present yourself, like especially like at festivals or when we're at parties, like you make everyone else around you feel very included. So, you know, getting to know him and you and your family, and just like, you know, and we would have like movie nights and whatever, and I'd go over and the three of us would watch TV on the couch, or you know, make bracelets, make like 40 of those. It was so like comforting, and it was definitely something that I needed at that moment, especially was just to feel loved. And I felt so loved by both of you.
Oh, good. No, that makes me really happy to hear, because like we truly loved you.
No, I know.
You know, and like I think when you ended things with Cody, like I felt the heartbreak too. You know, because it got to a point where, you know, y'all had been dating for 6 months, and you were so active in our family that, you know, we had all discussed that there's a dream that perhaps in a couple of years we could bring you into the family and you could live with us and like grow old with us, and like, you know what I mean? So you created a possibility and a dynamic that I never thought I would ever be okay with. And then once I got to like spend more time with you, I was like, I need this girl in my life 24/7 at whatever capacity, you know, because watching my husband fall in love with somebody else was hard.
Yeah.
Especially because it did happen so fast too, right?
Oh, yeah, it did.
It was only a couple of weeks until you guys were like, we're in love, and like we're, you know,
it was definitely fast.
Soulmates in a past life, and like all these things. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. But I also loved it at the same time, because I love seeing Cody happy, and he deserves it. I also think that you were able to provide a lot to Cody that I wasn't able to.
Okay.
I think that physical touch for me is not my love language. It is yours.
Definitely mine. Yeah.
Totally yours. And that's Cody's too. So I think that you were able to provide that for him, which was great. I think there's also a lot of activities that it's not really my scene, that like, you know, you guys want to go to the beach or go hiking or do things like that. I'd rather not do that. I think that you were able to provide so much for Cody that I wasn't. So I loved watching that unfold in front of me too.
And I was hoping that, I think I did a decent job. It's just like also making you feel safe and comfortable in the dynamic. Yeah. Because I know that he and I sped up very quickly into like, oh my God, we're in love. So, and in hindsight, I'm like, I really hope that I made you feel comfortable and, you know, made you feel safe and supported, because I would never, you know, not want that.
Right.
When you're dating a poly person, you want to make their partner feel just as included in it, whether even if y'all play or you don't. Like,
right,
if
we never played.
Exactly. Even if it's just platonic,
right,
it's still going to be an emotional bond that you have to work at. So
right, because this was the first relationship that my husband got into that I didn't have any sexual involvement in whatsoever. So everything is happening behind the scenes. So it was the first time where, you know, we're having movie night or whatever, and you guys are getting cuddly, and I'm like, am I in the way? Do they want me to go back up to my room so they can have like their private time to hook up? Or are things getting spicy and I'm not reading the room correctly? So there are a couple of anxieties there where I'm like, where is there like where do I kind of fit in this right now?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I would have the same anxieties too. I'd be like, oh my God, wait, am I interrupting? Like, you know, how do I, you know, so like.
You did a great job at making me feel comfortable, which is another reason why I was like, we could invite her into our family at some point, you know? So I think that you and I were also really good about kind of checking in with each other too. And there's been plenty of times where we've had conversations where we're like, this is kind of hard right now.
Yeah.
And this is really emotional and this is what I'm going through. And
because we're both like really emotional bitches. So I felt really bad for Cody because we're both so emotional.
Like, we're both crying. We're both like anxious. We're both like, love me. I mean,
would you have conversations, the two of you, separately from Cody?
All the time. Oh, we would get like lunch. We'd hang out together.
We're best friends.
We went to parties together. Yeah. Without Cody all the time.
Okay. All right. So I have a question for you, because what I understand about your dynamic with your sibling is that if
my twin,
your twin, is that if I hook up with you, Nikki's off the table.
Correct. We don't play with the same people. We don't watch each other at sex parties, obviously. And, you know, the very big obvious, we don't do anything together.
Right.
So with you two, it was definitely an interesting dynamic for us because, you know, it kind of happened by accident where I started dating Cody at the same time Nicole started dating you. So then we're both like, it's a little weird for us, like as sisters, you know, but we made it work.
Yeah, but it was also really cool too because we would go to music festivals together, hang out together.
For sure.
And so like, you know, I'm with Nicole, Cody's with Cami, and then, you know, Cody and I are together, and then they're best friend sisters. Like, so it was a really fun group.
Okay. No, it was. All right, here's my question though. Had this, because this relationship ended, right, with Cody, and I have more questions about that, but did you at any point consider making an exception to your rule with your sister for the relationship you're in with them?
We had like talked about it because I know Cody was curious, like how, you know, like solidified those rules are. And, you know, when Nikki and I discussed it, we're like, yeah, no, we can't. It's those boundaries are so heavy for us just because, I don't know, I feel like we're two twins that are also, you know, happen to be in lifestyle. We're very overly sexualized by some people. And so, you know, we're someone's fantasy, I'm sure. Yeah, no, we just keep such firm boundaries because we just can't. And that's the thing is like, you know, Nicole and I are like basically, like sometimes we joke, we're like basically married, you know, but we're not like super, you know, we're not super like touchy with each other. Like we barely hug, you know, usually we hug like maybe like I'll be crying or something and she'll be like, do you need a hug?
I'll see that. I'll see it on some of your episodes where she's like, there.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it together.
It'll be like,
fix your mic.
You got it. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, you know, yeah, it was a no. We just couldn't.
So it was a hell no.
Yeah.
And that totally makes sense. But Cody did try to kind of, I hope he didn't push it too hard because I was like, Cody, you got to stop. Okay, good. Because, you know, he was also like, this sucks because I want to see the two people that I love the most. I want to be together with both of them, you know, but it's like, it's off the table. It's red tape and it's, you know, but.
And the minute you lift that red tape, people will find out that tape lifted.
Oh.
And they might make you like, oh, but you did it for, like, I've heard that pop up before in the play space, not with you. Like, hey, you did this with them though. It's like they're saying that's a boundary, but you did it. So.
Well, and that's another thing is like, especially when emotions are involved, it becomes an even more like, hell no. Like, for example, there is one friend, M, who I've lightly played with. Like, I'll kiss her, but like, she's definitely like played with Nicole. Mm-hmm. But like, that's okay because it's not like neither of us are dating her, you know, like she's just a very good friend.
Right.
So that for us is also when it comes to like romantic partners, that is an extreme no. So
that makes sense. So what do you think you learned the most about dating my husband? Like, is there anything that you learned about yourself throughout the process that you have perhaps brought into some new relationships?
Well, I think he and I were really good at communicating. And I learned through him, and then the following person that I dated kind of like brought this to light, kind of showed me that I need someone who can communicate just as well. And that's the thing with Cody, it was really nice because I felt like I could fully be me. And I haven't really had that in some of my other, and I'm not even going to call them relationships because they weren't situationships. And it sucks. It sucks when you can't be your full self around someone because, of judgment, whatever. So with Cody, yeah, I learned that I need someone that can communicate well with me too, because I, in the past, have been a people pleaser. I have been really, really bad at like instating my own boundaries and then, just letting someone walk all over me. With Cody, it felt nice because he was able to communicate with me the way I communicated with him. He made me feel empowered to bring up the things that I wanted to talk about, and then like the next little situationship I was in after him kind of brought to light the fact that like he did that for me and I needed that because in the next situationship, like I couldn't. So yeah, it was the first time that I felt like really safe with someone and it was beautiful. But then, I look at like how fast we went at the beginning and then just like how much I actually like needed to heal from the past relationship before that. And it made me realize that, with like any other partner coming in, like I really have to slow it down for myself because me taking things too fast is not only just going to hurt me, it's going to hurt the other person, and I don't want to do that to someone. I know that I have anxious attachment. I know that I have abandonment issues. I know that when someone really excites me, and they show that excitement back, I will just take it away.
Yeah.
And so reflecting back on our relationship really brought that to light and just how much I need to, slow down things for myself just so that I'm taking care of everybody involved.
So why did you end it? Because it sounds like it's odd because I've never seen you both talk about it at the same time.
Yeah.
And it seems like not even what you're saying, you both seem at ease and there's this deep comfort and care and love for each other and like adoration for Cody from both of you. So then why, it sounds like you ended it.
I guess to be like completely honest, especially like with Cody, I found this out too. I have once I'm like in love with one person, they're really the only person I want. And I remember when I was with Cody, I was like, I didn't want to hook up with anyone else. I had that issue like so much because, I was technically in a relationship that was open where I could just, if I found other connections, I can explore them while I have this one. But I had just like blinders on for Cody. And it took me quite some time to figure this out. And finally, I got to the realization that I'm more of like romantically, I am monogamous in the sense of I don't know how, at least right now, and especially like looking back at like just like the wounds I've had, the father wounds, abandonment issues, whichever, like, and then with my ex-fiance where he was really the only long-term relationship that I had. The foundation was good, but all of that paired together, I came to this and then the situationship, and then I came to Cody, and then I came to the realization that basically I'm at a point in my life where I need someone that can like provide me full, true safety. That's how I build a foundation with someone. I am open-minded in the sense that like, yes, I would love a partner that is open-minded as well, where we can explore sex parties. We can have threesomes, group play together, whatever. But at the very base of it, it has to be just the two of us building a foundation. Because if you look at the three relationships that I had with Cody, my situationship, and my ex-fiance. With Cody, it's like I had the safety, but the foundation was a little too broad for my anxious attachment. With my situationship, we were in a closed container in which we didn't explore, but there was no safety in it. And then with my ex-fiance, like we had a strong relationship, but he also, like, there was a lot of lying on his part. And when I looked back on all of that, I'm like, well, I haven't had someone provide me like the base level of like stability that I need to calm my anxious attachment. So that was why I ended it. And that's the thing is, like, I think if I had met Cody at a time where I had already had, you know, someone who had provided me like the level of safety that I needed for at least quite some time, I would have been more prepared to open myself up to poly love. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm explaining this correctly, because I'm not going to lie, like those coming to that realization, it was about, I want to say like at month 4 with Cody. I had been doing like therapy work just to kind of like, you know, fix all the childhood issues that I had. And then, you know, to be honest, the breakup with my ex-fiance was very traumatizing for me. And then I immediately jumped into that very on and off situationship that I was in for 2 years. And all of that drained me so much. So by the time I came to Cody, like I was so starved for someone to treat me well and like give me a safe space. And not, you know, and I'm not saying that just because he was poly, he couldn't, but it was just the fact that like I needed something that was a little bit more closed. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like what I'm looking for now. I want someone that is, like I said before, or, you know, a few minutes ago, open-minded in the sense that like, you know, group play and, you know, explorative experiences can be on the table once we establish a foundation where I actually feel safe and it's long term. So
I'm curious, given that, because like we have in our space, people end up in like, they might break up, they find a new partner, and then within like a couple weeks, they're trying to bring that new partner to a play party. Mm-hmm. And I'm always somewhat shocked by that, because I'm like, you just met this person and you don't really know how they're going to handle it. And a lot of them have never been in this space.
Yeah.
Like this is happening right now to someone that I think we all mutually know. Mm. And it's like your partner seems really uncomfortable with this, but you keep bringing them around anyway. Mm. And so I'm curious, like everything that you've learned, I'm kind of in awe by how you're saying it so calmly right now. But it sounds like you're saying, regardless of whether you met them in the play space or not, you'd want to separate for a while to make sure your foundation was solid.
Yeah. Well, and actually, Niki, I'll just say Niki because that's how my fans know her. Well, they know her as Nicole too. Anyways, Niki's kind of going through this right now in the sense that like, and I think I know who you're talking about. She met someone recently and she's kind of, you know, figuring out for herself, like, you know, how do you bring someone into this space? Because it is difficult. Like, you know, and we just made an episode on converting vanillas, LOL. Which is really funny. But it's true. Like, you know, and I have a lot of vanilla friends, which, you know, they know about my lifestyle and they get curious. They ask a billion questions and then you really got to ease them in. Like I have a friend who I've hooked up with and, you know, he's interested in the lifestyle, just like see what it's like. And obviously, like, you know, for anyone that's coming into my life that I'm going to date, like I want to introduce them to everybody. My lifestyle of friends, my community, like y'all are amazing. You know, bring me so much comfort and joy. And obviously I'm going to want to introduce someone to, you know, you guys, right? But it is something that you have to like take like very slowly, especially if it's going to be something serious. Like my friend that I brought around, first I brought him just to a pool party that wasn't very like play oriented, right? And I'm like, okay, this is your feeler. How do you feel around these people? You see some people making out very liberally. You know, maybe some girls have their tops off. Like, how are you feeling towards this? But like when you're introducing, if it's at the base level, that other person does have to have an open mind of some sort, right? They have to.
They have to.
Yeah. Right. They have to at least just have the thought of, okay, like this is, you know, maybe what I'm going to see. They have to, you know, come prepared with questions and with no judgment. So I think it's just a very tricky thing to navigate where you do it slowly, but you do it in a way that honors everybody, right? And I think like when I, you know, one thing that I trust is when I bring someone to the group, like, I know y'all are going to be dope as fuck and friendly. And I know that like my friends in the lifestyle group are going to be respectful and they're not going to like push them too far. Right. And I think that's what I trust the most, is that everybody that I know is going to behave themselves and feel this person out, make sure the vibes are right before, like,
For sure.
So
100%. Okay. So based on what you're saying though, would you not, because it was weird, because I thought you were saying for a second you would not date a married or partnered person again. But then you almost said, like, knowing what I know now, if I went into dating a partnered person, I could handle it better. So I'm
if you had like a primary, right? If you had a primary that you had a foundation with.
Yeah.
Because that's how it was for me and Cody. Cody and I were together for like 9 years before, or 10 years before y'all started dating, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think I could have done what you did as gracefully as you did, to be totally honest. If I wasn't partnered, because I would, like, you're putting so much love and energy and effort into somebody that has someone that is like a primary, and it is hierarchical in a sense, right? Because like, we have kids together. So it's not like you guys aren't going to have kids together. You're not going to travel the world together. You're not going to do the things that you want with a primary relationship. Yeah. Right. So
that reminds me of a point that I had forgotten to mention in all of that. What I learned at that time is that solo, in the sense that, like, if I just want to be a single person at this moment, I could do poly with Cody. Right. But for the things that I'm trying to build and have to build a primary foundation with a primary partnership, I would need it to be closed, because with my anxiety and everything else, like, I don't know that I could have handled, because it wouldn't be fair for me to meet someone while I'm dating Cody and be like, hey, you and I are going to be closed, but I'm still seeing this other person and you can't see anyone else because I have anxiety. Right. So it wouldn't have been fair to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the questions I had for you was like, how was it dating other people while you're in this? And you answered it. You weren't really doing that.
No, and that's it. I found it so difficult because, like I said, I just wanted Cody all the time.
I get it.
Yeah.
And this is part of why it took us a year to hook up. Like a year plus, like you're doing. I will say this though, you're having a beautiful conversation, but that's also part of why I didn't get at you. Was like, all right, my wife's feeling weird about it, and you're dating Cody, and then you seem disinterested, and like the reality is you were disinterested because you were hanging out with Cody.
Yeah.
And emotionally, you had everything that you needed.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, that's the hard part, and like the mind fuck, is emotionally, like, Cody was filling all the boxes, but I knew that I wanted a primary relationship, and I couldn't do both and have, like, it would have just been too many steps. I would have needed it to be very basic at the beginning. So I don't think I said that very gracefully.
No, I think you did a great job.
No, you did great.
So when you broke up with my husband, Cody, when y'all broke up, did it feel like a heartbreak to you? Was it hard? Or was it pretty, like, was it kind of like, okay, it was almost like a relief, like a weight lifted off your shoulders? Or was it a heartbreak? Or how did you feel after?
No, it was hard in all areas, because, and I feel like, just as, personally, like, I felt like the weight of everything that had been happening for, years prior, since 2020, it was all coming, like, crashing down on me, right? So it was difficult in the sense of that, like, I had a lot of healing to do. I had to make the conscious choice to leave someone that was already making me really happy, and go into the unknown, knowing that I needed to find something that was more aligned with what I needed. And then it was losing that support. It was losing, time with you and time with him, and, knowing that I had to restructure everything. And that was the first time I had been, like, actually, like, single for quite some time. So it was a lot. I cried all the time.
Me too.
So yeah.
I did.
No, and it was hard. And the great thing is, like, Cody and I had we also had a very, I want to say it was a graceful, like, detanglement, however you want to say that, where we had a lot of conversations. We would still check in on each other. Obviously, like, we're still friends. Like, not only was I dating him, but I also had like a very growing friendship with the both of you. So it was really nice and we had a lot of like follow-up conversations, and yeah, it was just like really nice to have that, because I feel like we really hashed things out. And like, even I want to say a few months ago, he and I got into a fight, right? We got into a fight, but we were still able to like hold space for each other. And, even though we're not in a relationship, like obviously we care for each other, right? We were able to fix the issue and, continue on as people who cared for each other.
Yeah. And when they were having their little fight and argument, I texted Cami separately. Like, Cody's texting like this, and I'm like getting my phone out, and I was like, hey, I'm not a part of this. I love you so much.
That.
Like, I whatever Cody's doing, I don't care.
I
Whatever.
love that. You're like, we're still friends. Don't forget about it.
This has nothing to do with anything.
At you for breaking up with him? Or
No. We got into a little tiff about something he had posted in the Discord. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Got it.
Yep.
So, all right. So it sounds like you didn't wish it ended. That you were really happy with the situation. That
I feel like, I wasn't as heartbroken as Cody, but I was definitely heartbroken too. Like, I felt like I was going through a breakup as well.
Yeah.
Because I did love y'all's dynamic, and I love seeing my husband in love. And I think that that's really fun. And I think because it happened so suddenly, like it just kind of like, kicked us both in the face, and we're like, oh, okay, those fantasies that we had about, maybe bringing our families together, like we kind of have to let that go, and there was plenty of times where Cody was crying, or Cody was like, I'm really sad today. And I was able to console him and be there for him, because that was the first time I've ever seen Cody heartbroken about another woman. And so it was an interesting feeling, because it wasn't like a jealousy thing, like how could he love someone else or anything like that. It was how can I provide, how do I provide support to my husband who's going through a heartbreak with another woman?
Yeah.
You say it, and anyone that would hear that would go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it was a beautiful moment, and it brought Cody and I closer together. And I think
I'm happy that it did that.
It did. I think the entirety of y'all's relationship brought Cody and I closer together, because it was something that was outside of both of our comfort zones.
Yeah.
And so it really forced us to grow, and it forced us to communicate like 10 times more than we ever did before, I
think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad I was able to provide that for you.
Yeah, girl.
So what would you do differently if, like, given the same situation, Cody's fallen for someone, this might be a relationship he ends up having with him or with both of you, what would you do differently?
The first thing that I can think of that I would have done differently is, I think there was like a couple of times where Cody and I were fighting about something like non-related, and we were just like not in an okay place, right? So we're fighting, I'm angry, but they had plans that night. So I think there was a couple of times that I said, it's not a good night for you to go out with Cami. And in retrospect, I wish that I didn't do that, because I see the value in both options, right? But Cami is her own person with her own feelings that has nothing to do with me and Cody's fighting or bickering or anything like that. I would have done that differently. What else would I have done differently?
How did it feel to be on the receiving end of that, by the way?
It took a little moment for it to be known to me that that's what it was. Because I know at the beginning, when that would happen, Cody wouldn't share all the information.
I was very secretive.
Yeah, and obviously I didn't want to push.
Right.
I was trying to also just be respectful of your space, because your relationship came first to him. And obviously that was going to be the case. And I just mentally prepared for that. So
yeah. And that's another thing I would have done differently is, and I've said this multiple times on the pod, is I suffer in silence. I don't want anyone to know what's going on behind the scenes if it's negative. So if Cody and I were fighting about something, Cami's the second closest person in his life at the moment. And I'm sure it was if you guys did spend time together and Cody and I weren't okay, I'm sure it was visible that like something's off with Cody, but he didn't have permission, I'm using air quotes, permission to disclose what was actually going on. Right. And I would have done that differently as well.
Damn. Mm-hmm. And what about you? What would you do differently?
Like in those situations?
No, I just mean like, imagine you were someone in your shoes, like thinking about going into a relationship with a married man.
Well, if you could go back in time and relive it again, is there anything that you would have changed?
No, I mean, think in the sense of that, like with you, maybe just provided even more support, I think, or even during those times where, well, and like you said, you suffer in silence, which I'm jealous of because I suffer out loud. Everybody always knows I'm upset about something. Everybody knows. And I tweet about it. I remember one time I was going through something and I was like posting a bunch of memes on Cami and Niki. And one of our friends texted Nicole and was like, is Camilla going through something?
She's posting quotes.
Yeah,
Something's
exactly.
going on.
And I remember I saw one of our friends, what was it, a few months ago, and I was going through it. And she looks at me, she goes, I hadn't seen her in like damn near a year. She's like, how are you? I've seen your posts. Are you okay? And I was like, so I need to suffer in silence.
That's
I need
so
to practice
funny.
that.
Funny.
No, but I think in the sense of that, like I've said before, I had a pretty good idea before going into this, you know, especially from watching Nicole be in a poly relationship. I know that I needed to provide you safety and security. I think everything of how, you know, Cody and I's relationship went, I think went beautifully. With my, like I said, one thing that I wish I had done better at the beginning is just gone a little bit slower so that things would make sense, because I essentially surprised him very much with the breakup. And then like when it comes to like, you know, the anxiety, that's just my inner work. So I'm always working on that.
I know you have some rapid questions.
I know. We're almost. You've actually answered a lot. I want to know if you're still in love with Cody, for one.
I think the love has transformed. You know, the in love took a while for it to like, you know, dissolve, but it did.
Yeah.
If I can be honest, I'm not in love with him anymore, but there is just this like deep care love where it's like, these are always going to be two humans that I want to keep in contact with, that I want in my life, that I want to hang out with, that I want to know are doing well and thriving because they are fully deserving of that. And I am blessed to know them. So, yeah.
Man, fellas, we should talk to each other like this. Like you hype each other up so much.
I love you.
I would pay my friends to just sit on the couch with me and be like, you are awesome. Like if no one's told you today.
Well, I mean, it's true. Like,
but the bigger thing I'm thinking about is like in another universe when you still go to, where'd you go? What was the spa?
WeSpa.
WeSpa.
Have you not been to WeSpa?
No, I haven't been to WeSpa. I want to go now.
Yeah.
Like, there's twins there. Okay. But go back to WeSpa. If you and Niki don't hook up in the bathroom, how does this play out? Or if like you make an exception to the rule, like how does this end up playing out? And so I am sitting here and I'm also wondering, like, had you never connected with Niki and then that rule's not there, and now you can be in a different relationship with both of them, does it still end, or are we in the same seat, you know, in that other universe? And I'm deeply curious about that.
I think I would have been in the same seat in the sense of that, like, I really do need to establish a really strong foundation with a man. Now, I will say, had Niki and Layla not connected, Cody and I probably would have never dated, if you think about it.
I have thought about that.
Yeah, because we, you know, at that point, like we hadn't hung out again. You know, I would have just seen him at the next party.
Right.
So you two getting together was actually the catalyst of him and I connecting in that way. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I learned a lot today. Well, was this supportive of you two to just talk through this?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, this is amazing.
And it's like, I don't know, for me, it's fun to remember it because like, I honestly did, like, I had a blast with you two.
So much fun.
Your kids are so freaking adorable. Like, I loved going over. I felt like, you know, I got to be a part of this little family for a little while, and it was like really like a treasured moment for sure.
Yeah,
so
it's something we'll have forever.
Yeah.
God, I want to have a conversation like this with my ex.
Ooh, let's bring her on.
I don't think it'll go this way.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're gonna let you go. Where should people find you though? Because you talk about stuff like this on your podcast all the time. You go deep.
Yes. At Double Teamed Podcast. And at Cami and Niki on Instagram, at Double Team Podcast on TikTok. You can find all of our relevant links, doubleteampodcast.com. My random thoughts at Double Team Pod on Twitter. And I tell Twitter everything first. They know all my life stories. But yeah, Double Team Podcast on all listening platforms.
Thank you for coming on and for being vulnerable. And
Thank you.
I've been waiting to have you on because I've wanted to have you and Nicole on for a while. And I'm so glad that we're able to have this important conversation is kind of like our first little project together.
Yeah.
You know, and I will always love you and will always adore you. And I
love you too.
I can't wait for the many more parties and memories and festivals. And
Y'all got to come back around.
I know. We've been
too
MIA
long.
for a while. It's been so busy, chaotic, lots of stuff going on, but we'll be around.
Life is lifing.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to come on my pod too.
We will.
Yeah, we'd love that.
And do over.
Okay. Yes. No party favors and no period.
No.
We gotta time that. We gotta time that right on my end. And I can't believe I admitted to everyone
It's all good.
my whole bathroom situation.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to another episode. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, be sure to do that so we'll have more content coming your way. And Layla, anything to add before I send them out?
No, I feel good. I'm happy.
Give them
happy?
a 5-star review, people. The fuck are you
You're
waiting
happy?
for?
Until we see you next time, try something or try someone new.
Remember that 5-star review.